Well, images from the protests in Sudan have been shared widely on social media. James Creedon's been taking a look at that. He's here with me in the studio.
Laura.
Good to see you, James. Just last night we were talking about this
Yes.
really iconic image of the female protester standing with her arms in the air. A really iconic moment, which today seems even more important. Tell us a bit more about who she is. What will she be doing today? I guess she's
she's
celebrating.
apparently taken the day off. She had to set up a Twitter account. She's got all this international attention, and it's just sort of, I probably overwhelmed her a little bit. She's 22 years of age. Ala'a Salah.
22, wow.
It's incredible.
So young.
An engineering and architecture student at the University of Khartoum. You can see here the image captured by a photographer. That's the original image, the original tweet taken by me, Alana Haroum. Alana Haroum is the photographer in question, and you can see her standing above the crowd with her index finger kind of pointing upward, and that's a different angle on. Well, I'm not sure it's quite the same moment, but it's.
We shouldn't underestimate the power of these images because they are really inspirational to people, aren't they?
That's right.
You might be fearful, you might be worried about going outside, and something like this really does bring people together.
That's right. Well, I suppose she's a woman. She's a young woman. It's a moment of incredible courage.
It's a sign of the future, isn't it?
That's it. And she was also Paura, which means revolution in Arabic. She was leading chants. We were showing videos of that yesterday. But this powerful picture has taken on a life of its own. I would love to keep track of the different versions of it. So this is just to show the extent to which Ala'a Salah has become a cultural icon as well as a political activist. I mean, it's a lot. When you get the whole gaze of the world directed on you, it is something, I think, quite extraordinary. And it does seem to sort of tap into the general feeling of the crowds who are taking to the streets massively in Khartoum and elsewhere in the country. You can see this cartoon here where she's holding up, not the index finger this time. This is the
another finger.
Another finger, and
Omar Al Bashir himself.
There you go. What else do we have? This is an image of a reimagined Sudanese passport, again showing the extent to which she's tapped into a sense of the nation's spirit and intentions right now in this moment. Certainly more so than the.
And it's wonderful that it's a woman who is at the forefront of this in a country where Sharia law is enforced so strictly. It's such a repressive country, and women have really played a huge part in this.
Well, you know, and it's not just her. I'll show you an image in just a second now. But before we get to that, this is another. I suppose she's being termed the Nubian queen, or Kandaka is the word for that. Basically, they were the ancient Nubian queens of ancient Sudan. Now, you'll remember that image. I was showing it as well yesterday. This just to show the extent to which young women are becoming icons of these movements.
It reminds me of the women in Turkey as well. You remember in the Gezi Park.
That's it, and so in particular, right now
they really stay with you. These images.
They do, and this is the 3rd of March. 17-year-old ballerina who sort of summed up the movement in Algeria. Now, speaking of her not being the only woman, let's try to get some sound on this, right? Because what you can see here, mood now, and you can see these women leading a chant. What they're saying here, they're calling out the name of bin Auf and saying, you know, get out of power. We want you gone.
Who said he's going to take over? Yeah.
And you can see here, it's women. It's going to pivot around in a second, but they are actually leading the crowd in that chant, and it's men who are sort of following. So it's pretty impressive. Now, just quick whip through some of the other stuff that we're seeing. This is the army. A member of the army embracing a member of the crowd. Again, echoes of Algeria, where there are sympathies among some in the army for what is happening on the streets. We've seen also, of course, that General Mohammed Awad Ibn Auf is himself on a sanctions list for his role in for war crimes in Darfur. So it's not exactly promising in that regard. And indeed, elements of the public, you have the forces of the Declaration of Freedom and Change. They've issued a statement in English, basically saying we are calling on members of the army, officers of the army, to join our cause. So lots more to say on that. You can see there some people feeling really it's a kind of a case of Russian doll, a different face, but the same theme.
All right. James, thank you very much indeed.